Yes, guys, welcome back to ShootOut. Tier lists. You might have watched a few of these on my channel over the years, but it's the first tier list video on ShootOut, mate. I feel like this is a monumental occasion, Big Eunice.
Mate, we've been waiting for these.
You do look like the final boss today, in a good way, not like the jokey Ibiza final boss. You've got the boss top on, and you do look like a boss. Just thought I'd throw you a little compliment early doors.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if we're talking about bosses, when it comes to tier lists, I think we have the final boss of tier lists here. So hence why I was looking forward to this idea, because we've discussed this in length for quite some time, and it's finally come around. So.
It's actually part and parcel of why we started ShootOut. We just wanted more tier lists on the internet, really. I feel like the world needs them. So we've got tiers today. We are going to be ranking every Premier League club's most expensive signing of the summer. Now, obviously, like it's the Premier League. People are spending money like it's going out of fashion, like we're about to enter a recession, perhaps. But we have got season-defining, decent signing, long game player, and poor deal. And obviously, when it comes to the most expensive signings, with every transfer, people want to try and like deviate away from, oh, don't worry about the money, it ain't your money, all right? No, we are going to scrutinise the value of these transfers today too when it comes to ranking these players. And what better way to start? I'm going to go with alphabetical order. Martin Zubimendi
Zubimendi
is Arsenal's most expensive signing at 70 million. I feel like this is also a difficult one because they've got three players here that were within a 5 million euro bracket.
Yep.
Gyökeres and Eze also between 65 and 70 million euros. But Zubimendi is Arsenal's most expensive signing. I'm going to say off the bat, for me, season defining.
I agree.
I think he's actually that kind of anchor player that Arsenal needed. I think he's enabled Declan Rice to go up a level as well this season, which I think if Arsenal win the Premier League, I think this will be a moment and a signing that will actually be definitive to that happening.
When Arsenal went in for Zubimendi, and I remember instantly, I thought, oh no. And I remember putting up a couple of posts about it, and I think there was quite a lot of non-Arsenal fans in general looking and going, okay, yeah, he's all right, but, just trying to brush it off. No, Zubimendi is exactly what Arsenal needed.
Yeah.
Because season before, you could see that in the midfield, despite there being Declan Rice, and then they would have options like Thomas Partey, Jorginho, but it just felt like there was something missing defensively, right? And there was always some sort of a way through if a team was going to be aggressive enough in the midfield. Zubimendi's locked it off fully. And that's been the key. Because as you said, now it allows Declan Rice to move a little bit more forward. He's had a little bit more liberty. But not just that. The whole midfield looks balanced, which in turn brings a lot more for the Arsenal team as a whole. I think it's worked out beautifully for Arsenal. So, yeah, for me, I think he is, in his role, season-defining. People look at, goals, assists, and all that. Nah, Zubimendi, in terms of, like, an anchor, as you've described him, top class.
Yeah. Season-defining is the first player. Evan Gesand from Aston Villa. I'm just going to make sure that I've got this one correct. The fee was 30 million
That is correct.
euros. He's an exciting player, Evan Gesand, but in terms of output so far this season, he's not got any goals. He's not scored or an assisted yet. And Aston Villa, like, it's been a season of two halves, really. Like, the old football adage, like, it's a game of two halves. For Villa, if you isolate their season so far, it's been a season of two halves from Aston Villa. But Evan Gesand hasn't really lit up the Premier League. He's featured, I think, in almost every match so far this season. 5 of which have been starts and 5 have come off the bench. He's averaging 43 minutes per game, which to me suggests that Unai Emery's not really found his role yet in this team. He spent a lot of the time predominantly far out wide, but I'm inclined to say that this is a long game signing. I can't say it's a poor deal because I think it was actually good value at 30 million. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think the fact he's 24... Yes, we've not really seen much. He's featured a lot, but there's been nothing of substance to a high level. But I guess you never know. Because Aston Villa do have players that they are also turning to. And whether they bring Gassan off the bench, like they've done recently, they do have options. So there is competition there. So yeah, perhaps in the eyes of Aston Villa, this is probably a long game player, perhaps. But Yeah, I can't say decent signing because we've not really seen much.
So let's move into Bournemouth signing Bafode Diakite. Now, this was always going to be difficult shoes to fill because Bournemouth obviously lost 3 of their regular starting defenders last season, and arguably, as a result of doing that, they've become a better footballing side this season. Diakite came in from Lille for 35 million in the summer, and I would say that he's actually made a very good start here. But again, I think a lot of praise needs to go on the manager. He's very much a front foot defender. He likes to step into those sort of midfield areas, defensive midfield areas. I think this is a really smart signing for Bournemouth, to be fair. And obviously, recency bias would come in and be like, well, Bournemouth have started to leak goals recently. But they were always going to do that, weren't they? It was never going to be plain sailing game after game for them this season. And you did predict a little slump for Bournemouth. But what would you put for Diakite?
Diakite is a tough one, especially with defenders, right? Because you can only really base them off when they play. How stuck in are they getting? How organised do they look? Are they sweeping up correctly? And that's about it. You know?
Eunice isn't a man for his stats.
No. So, and Diakite has been, it looks like a little bit on and off whether he's actually starting or he's coming off the bench or. So I'm torn between decent signing and long game player.
I'm going to say decent signing because,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, personally. I just think Bournemouth, I expected them to look a shadow of the team that they were because they just got rinsed. Like, selling Kirkesh, Tabani, and who else went? Who's the other guy? Howson, Dean Hoyson, Big Dean. Like, that could have killed any side.
Absolutely. And in terms of quality, I don't doubt Diakite's look decent.
Decent Diakite.
Yeah, but I think he can do more in order to cement himself as a main starter properly, right? Where he's immovable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, work in progress.
Work in progress. Let's move into Dango Ouattara. I don't know what it is about this guy's name, but it just gets me off my seat a little bit. Hey, Dango Ouattara. We move into him. He's not necessarily lit the world up at Brentford as of yet. Scored a goal against Liverpool in what is now a famous victory for Brentford at home. They're getting a few of those famous victories at home this season. Brentford, I think, have been decent, but in terms of Ouattara's price, over 40 million euros, which is a lot of money for Brentford to be spending on a player. But I think Brentford, again, deserve a lot of credit this season because to lose Mbeumo, to lose Wissa, who's obviously not featured since he left the club, Ouattara's come in and they've put a lot of onus on him. But I would say Igor Thiago's, the striker, was signed actually the season before, but didn't play last season because of a horrible injury. So he feels like the new signing, which kind of lets Ouattara's start off the hook, I guess you could say a little bit.
Ouattara, for me, I think has had big shoes to fill, considering, as you said, the players that Brentford have lost. And I feel he's come in and he's actually made an impact, right? I think he's a technically really good player. I like Ouattara.
Are we decent signing him?
Sign him.
Yes.
I'm going to say decent signing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say decent signing. And I think there's more to come from him. I think it's only now we're starting to see Brentford have a little bit of balance in their performances and in their results.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can, run with it a little bit. But I think Ouattara has done very well.
Speaking of names that are just really names that get you off your seat, Charalampos Kostalas. If that don't get you going on a weekend morning, then I don't know what will. The Greek striker is 18 years old, and he scored a goal against Manchester United so far this season. It's a big money move. With Brighton, I feel like you can't ever really criticise anything too early because these guys, right, they are the shrewdest businessmen and maybe women in the league, you could say. So I think for this one, this has got to be a long game signing, isn't it? Because
it has to be.
Like, you can't sign an 18-year-old and expect him to be as good as Esteval Willian. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's only a couple of world-class 18-year-olds out there.
Yeah, and the intention here is to do exactly that. I mean, he's barely played, right? But as you said, he has scored, and a good goal at that. And we know how Brighton operate. They're not looking at Kostulas now in terms of what he can do. They're looking at what he's going to bring them in maybe 3-4 years, and then how much they're going to sell him for. because that's what Brighton do. And self-admittedly, they have said that. They look to bring in these sort of players that no one really knows about, and then they, ramp them up a little bit, increase their value, and then they sell them on for a profit in order to generate profit because that's their only means to. And I feel like Kostulas would be no different, but he's 18 right now. And considering that, I think he's played like half an hour total minutes, right? He's actually done well. Considering that, he's done all right. So I'm gonna say long game player who is operated like a decent player for the low amount of minutes we've seen him.
And to be fair, if you're chasing down Danny Welbeck, who's been arguably in the form of his life this season, I think it would be very tough to say that this is a poor deal because, 117 minutes he's played so far. That ain't enough to judge the bloke, really. Let's move into a player that we do kind of know quite well. Big Leslie Ugochukwu, who obviously signed from Chelsea for a fee that I think a lot of people were like, hang about. But Leslie Ugochukwu is a really tidy player, man. And I think Burnley have done very well here to sign him. He started 7 of Burnley's matches so far this season. He's played nearly 600 minutes of football already. Scored 2 goals for Burnley as well. I think this is a good deal, man. I don't know if it'll be season defining because I don't think Leslie Ugochukwu will single-handedly keep Burnley in the Premier League. I think they're going to struggle for that. But he's done very well. He scored against Leeds and Aston Villa. How would you rate him?
Yeah, I would say, considering Burnley's level, I'm going to say decent signing. I can't really say season-defining because no one is really season-defining when it comes to a club that is low in the Premier League like that. But I'm going to say decent signing with all things considered. He's as you've said, he's contributed, I think, in the way that he can only do, to the max of his ability. He's not going to save Burnley from going down, but what he's brought has been decent.
Do you think he's the kind of player that if Burnley were to go down, he'd get another Premier League move?
It's touch and go. It's touch and go. I think he can, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does stay in the Championship for a season.
Chelsea buyback, 80 mil.
I'm out.
Okay, so we put him in the decent signing. Joao Pedro, 63.7 million euros. You actually walked in just as I was finishing. I didn't do a tier list. I did like a ranking video for Chelsea's new signings. But Joao Pedro was the most expensive signing. And I think with Joao Pedro, he kind of gets he's kind of got credit in the bank as well because we saw him at the Club World Cup. Obviously, if you support an institution as gargantuan as Chelsea Football Club, we compete in these mid-summer tournaments where you can become the champions of the world. So Joao Pedro's obviously had a huge part to play in that. Again, it's difficult because it's clearly not a poor deal. It's clearly not a long game one. For me, the decent signing tier here is going to be filled with footballers, isn't it? For me, at least, anyway.
Yeah, I have to say decent signing. And you know what? I think there'll be some that disagree. And we'll probably go, okay, maybe long game player. Yeah, because overall, his form hasn't been, I think, what people expect in the last at least few games, considering to what we saw at the World Cup. But the player's quality. And I think overall, decent signing. I'll be honest, I think people maybe expect or we look and go, he should be a player that we put into a season-defining bracket. But he's not hit that level, if we're being completely honest, for various reasons. But decent signing for sure. And what he done at the Club World Cup was outstanding. So,
but do you think, and I still think that there's, but especially now Palmer's coming back for Chelsea, I think there's a world where Joao Pedro could turn to become a season-defining player because I actually think he's going to play more as a number 9, which I'm not opposed to that when Palmer's on the pitch because you saw that connection that those two had.
Yeah, 100%. And when you consider the development of Esteval and him being in the team now, it's like I've said, we've spoken about this at length. I'm waiting to see the combination of all these players together on the same pitch on the same time. And that, I only think, helps Joao Pedro. Right now, it feels like there's times where he's got to do things by himself. And he's got to claw himself out of a situation. Whereas I feel like if he's got the right personnel around him, I think he thrives.
Yeah.
So, technically, in terms of a finish, we know he's class. Maybe he just needs more involvement. And that comes with the teammates around him too. So I'm going to say decent signing.
Jeremy Pino from Crystal Palace has come in, left wing, quite an exciting player. But wingers, right? A lot of people go off the top end stats, don't they? Goals and assists, and he's not contributed anything of note there yet this season. 3 big chances created though, Eunice, but in 10 games. Is that good enough?
Yeah, this is the thing. Long game player for sure.
Long game player.
Long game player.
I mean, I'm looking here. He's had some good games, but again, I think Crystal Palace have been like nearly there so many times this season in so many matches, haven't they?
I want to maybe reconsider, considering how much he's actually cost for someone like Crystal Palace, and we've not really seen much. I mean, he's been involved a lot. It's not like he's been on the bench mainly doing nothing. Like, he's been involved, but we're not seeing anything. Do we actually maybe put him into, I think, the first player to go into Port Deal?
I think it, as of right, and again, this is obviously as of right now, and we can't just leave the
It's
bottom
hard.
tier, can we?
No, but this is the thing. Like, I think there's players that, like Pino, who isn't a bad player, right? Has had a certain value, but has not really shown enough. But there's also players that have had stinkers, and I
Yeah.
think they're the ones who really deserve to go in. But I'm a bit torn.
I think we're going to go poor deal.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I think so far, poor deal, to be honest.
So far, but I do say that I reckon he can claw it back out. That's I'm torn. I want to say maybe long game just to be fair to him, but
Let's put him in poor deal.
that's pretty
Screw
good deal. Go on then, because it's 30 million euros for Crystal Palace. That's substantial money. If this was a big 6 club, I'd be like, okay, screw it, long game. But yeah,
Mate, I think we're all of a sudden here, I'm looking at this list, and I feel like the poor deal is going to go from basically just being like closed shop to the Christmas sale, mate.
Everyone
Like
starts
Boxing
going
Day
in.
sale. Get yourself in it. Tyler Dibbling has got to go in the poor deal category, mate. Like, I've been looking on social media, and again, you should take everything you see on social media with a pinch of salt, right? But I'm seeing Everton fans and some old Southampton fans coming out and just saying this kid is just not really on the right path. I might be wrong with this. I might be totally wrong with this. But for a player that was linked with Chelsea, linked with Manchester United, Tyler Dibbling has literally hardly played football this season for Everton. He started 2 games. He's played only 153 minutes in an Everton shirt. And he's been completely outshone by Jack Grealish and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. Long game player for sure, but for 40 million, I'm saying this has got to be a poor deal as of so far.
as of so far, yes, but he's not playing. Do you know what I mean? I want to.
But this is why we did the most expensive signings, because
Yeah, exactly.
Everton spending 40 million has to be on a player that can come in now and make you better.
Well, why did they get Jack Grealish then?
Well, because that was a good deal. That was good value. It's a loan.
So okay. So if that's the case, for this season, surely they know that's going to be a contradiction, you know, because Everton are not playing European competition. They don't need to rotate as heavy. So if they're bringing in Jack Grealish, was this deal necessary in the first place?
I think they could have bought a better striker.
Facts.
See what I did there?
So, yeah, okay. I think considering if we're talking on that level, it's definitely a poor deal. Because so far, even when Tyler Dibbling has played, I don't think we've seen enough for us to go, oh, you know what? He's going to give Jack Grealish at least a run for his money. Jack Grealish has basically got the red carpet rolled out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So,
I think...
But he's 19. I want to be fair to him. Maybe something comes later, but right now, I'm not seeing anything.
Another player that you can't spend this much money and just be like this useless right now. Kevin! Big Kevin! Sounds like a dog you're trying to chase around a park. Kevin has been really quite poor, I think, at Fulham this season. He's a 22-year-old Brazilian. Sometimes with a Brazilian, it's going to be hit and it's going to be miss. But Fulham, I think, in general this season have been a big miss so far. And I think your record signing needs, if your record signing comes in and works for a team like Fulham, it could be the difference between being a mid-table side and maybe just creeping into the top half of the table. But as for Kevin, so far, I know you love these numbers, Eunice. We've got a 0.08 XG, 0.24 expected assists, and 0 assists and 0 goals for Big Kev. Mate, it's got to be a poor deal at this point, isn't it?
It has to be. I mean, considering that there's players there that I think have offered more. You know, at least Iwobi, Jimenez, Fulham have been. I can't really, go into players in the Fulham squad because overall they've just been poor as a collective, and I think Marco Silva has not helped, and he's now under pressure. As we called on here not long ago, as soon as we said that, it come out that he's actually under pressure. So we know ball.
Some people have said that we are the best duo on YouTube, mate. So
So subscribe.
subscribe.
But don't subscribe to Kevin at this rate. And by the way, can I just say, he's Brazilian. His name's Kevin. How's that happened?
I reckon sometimes parents just look at the kid and be like,
Can't be bothered.
Kevin.
But look, no. Overall, I want to say poor deal.
I think it's got to be. But there's two players that we got to do for Liverpool. There's no way we can leave out a 100 million plus player. You got Alexander Isaac. Oh, he needs a bit of Isaac Newton right now. He's 145 million. He's on the bench for Liverpool. You got Florian Wirtz, who was apparently the signing of the summer, 125 million. Tell me why these two don't go into the poor deal. I beg you.
One of them does.
Which one goes in the poor deal for you?
Wirtz.
Wirtz, poor deal.
Yeah.
You think like he's just not going to come good?
No. I don't see it. Unless there's one way that he can. Slot leaves.
No way, really?
I don't see it.
That's a
He
huge
doesn't
call.
fit. The midfield, this was, look, at the end of the day, this was completely unnecessary. By Isak, I understand. I get it. And I think it's just an unfortunate circumstance with the way that it's gone down. But we know Isak's a top striker. We've seen that in the Premier League. Like, we've seen him ball. We've seen him score. We know that there's someone quality there. And I think with a bit of time and adjustment, that might come good. Wirtz, the Liverpool midfield is more than stacked without him. Right now, you can't move Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai. You just can't. That's got so much balance and so much quality that if you interrupt it, you're shooting yourself not in the foot, you're shooting yourself in the head. And I think that's what Slot has done up until this point. And then he's had to revert back that midfield. And even then, we're seeing the Liverpool team struggle. If Slot were to leave and someone comes in with a different way and changes the dynamic up completely to suit Wirtz, maybe we get the best of Wirtz. Up until that day, not happening. So for me, Wirtz, poor deal. And I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Isak and say long game player.
I think you're right. I could argue both of them going into long game because when you spend that much money, you don't anticipate having to like correct that decision so quickly. In Liverpool's case at the moment, there's obviously the debate that you've mentioned a lot here on Shootout about, well, if they spent that much money on him, you kind of have to play him. There's a pressure to play him from above. There's just a pressure in general. You can't spend that much money and leave a player on the bench or not have him as part of your plans. I think with Wirtz, you might, in order for Liverpool to save their season, which it's already at that level of conversation, I think you have to sacrifice Wirtz like a lamb to slaughter at this point, mate. Isak, I think, is so good. I think when Liverpool signed him, I was genuinely like petrified of what they could be.
Yeah.
Ekitike, I think, is a brilliant signing.
He's been brilliant.
But Isak has got to be one for the future. I think when you look at how good he was at Newcastle, you don't just become a shocking footballer off the bat. I think the summer probably took a lot out of him. I think mentally it would have been taxing. Physically, maybe he's not been up to speed potentially. But Isak, I think, we'll put him in tier 3 for now.
Yep.
Should we move into Tijani Reinders?
Or Leeds.
Oh, Leeds. I'm so sorry, Leeds. Yeah, Anton Stach. Do you know what?
A decent signing.
Decent signing.
It's difficult to say season defining for a team that is actually just not getting results.
It's also maybe a bit too early to say
as
well, to be fair.
He has the quality to become that, I think, later down the road.
Yeah, I think that was premature.
Leeds as a whole are not getting numbers at all. I think individually, when you see Stach, though, there's a decent player there.
Let's move into Reinders from Manchester City, who I actually think is a really tidy player. I think it's a smart signing. I think a lot of Man City's signings have been smart from Pep Guardiola. I think for the amount of money that was spent on him, 55 million, he had a very, very good start to the season, did Reinders, and he features a lot, and that is considering Pep Guardiola loves a little bit of rotation. He started 9 matches out of 10 this season. He scored 1 goal, and I think that was at Wolves, and he's also got himself 2 assists, but this guy don't give the ball away, and Pep loves that.
Yeah. And I think he's been, you know what? He's a player that I think many teams would have and cement, basically, like you're in the starting 11 every single week. Pep has a squad that's got enough depth in order for him to maybe change a couple of things here and there. And Reinders has been one of those players, but every time Reinders plays, he's just been brilliant.
Yeah.
I
I like
mean,
watching him.
we saw lately, for example, Nico Gonzalez coming in. Shirky's returned, which means that that's someone that they can use in that midfield, even though that attacking midfield, but it allows Reinders to maybe, when needed, have a little rest. And whenever he's been on the pitch, Reinders has been class. This for me was a great deal. Great deal. I wouldn't say season defining, because I don't think he's lit it up to the point where it's like he's changed Manchester City's trajectory, but he's contributed. I don't think anyone in that Man City team, bar Haaland, has really, changed what Man City are doing. But I think he's fitting like a glove. So, for me, decent signing.
Decent signing. Benjamin Sesko. Talk to me.
Benjamin Tesco.
Benjamin Tesco.
Meal deal.
Tesco value at this point.
Big up the meal deals.
Can get some bargains in there, but it's just not the finest, is it?
I want to be fair to him because he plays for Man United.
That's the reason you want to be fair to him.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because
Enlighten me.
Because Man United hold players back. So I want to say, like, I want to be fair to him. I don't want to say poor signing. It's like, is it a poor deal?
I mean, so far, call a spade a spade. It's a poor deal right now.
Right now, it looks like a poor deal. But but I think there's many players at United that look poor.
To be fair, like, I really want to put this in the poor deal, but this is a long game player. Because, look, I've seen enough of Benjamin Sesko in his career to know that if you got him on a good day, he's a good player.
Yeah.
And I think United at the moment, like Sesko, I think is the unfortunate case here because all of a sudden they do look like they're back in business. Cunha looks like the Cunha that we saw at Wolves, and Buemo's now player of the month for October, scoring goals, getting assists. Like, I think for me, when I think about that attack, right, I feel like it should work.
Now you know what?
Poor deal.
Poor deal.
Poor deal.
Poor deal. I'm sorry. 76. No, I can't. 76
mil is a lot, mate.
I can't protect you here. It's not been good enough for that much money. You're at Man United. It's nothing's clicking. No, I'm sorry. Like, if it was like 40 million, I'd say, okay, you know what? I'll let him off. 76. And again, that's not his fault, right?
I love how we tried. We tried hard.
We tried. But look, for that much money spent overall, not necessarily just on the player, Man United spending that much on Sesko is poor. It's poor. And look, I had doubts. Like, if you remember when he was rumored to go to Arsenal, I was like, yes, go on, take him. Like, take him, please. Because he doesn't scare me. I look at Sesko, I'm not threatened. But I look at Gyökeres, for example, and I was like, oh, man, I hope they don't get him. They did. And I'm like, crap. But United get Sesko. Again, I don't feel threatened. He might get a goal here and there. But
wow.
Look, overall, I don't think, and we can clip this and see what happens, I don't think Sesko will climatize to the Premier League well.
So you think he's going to end up being sold?
He'll just look average.
Poor deal for Benjamin Sesko. He's propping up the table with our man Florian over there from the Bundesliga again. Funny that, isn't it? It just seems to be a running theme.
I mean, in contrast, because he's only 1.5 mil more than Mbuemo. And Mbuemo's been a decent signing. And
only 1.5 mil more than Nick Voltemade, who's also from the Bundesliga, who I love this guy.
I'm going to say season defining.
Do you know what? I agree. Right now, it doesn't look like it because they've gone from Isak to Voltemade, half the value, half the league position. Make of that what you will. But it's not been his fault.
No, he's been the most
Absolutely
consistent
not.
player in that Newcastle team.
Yeah, I think he's
might
a
be the
player.
only one.
Yeah.
Newcastle fans have all like expressed their dissatisfaction at the way Newcastle are playing at the moment. Not getting good results. They're low in the table. But all of them will go, listen, but except Nick Voltemade, you are exempt. You are doing brilliant. You're the only one that can keep your head held high here.
Yeah.
See, technically, what he has done is season defining.
Yeah, I mean, he's played 8 games so far for Newcastle, 4 goals scored. Obviously, there's been a couple of penalties in there, I think, as well, including Champions League. He's just such a good player to watch, to be honest. And he is very much a focal point. Like, you need to get him the ball. But he also does drop deep. He likes to drop deep. And I think he's been quite unlucky. He's missed 4 big chances as well. So that tally could have been more. But I'm going to say season defining because I think if you take him out of this team, Newcastle were in serious trouble.
Exactly.
Serious trouble.
Yeah.
So if they're going to claw it back, which I think they will, I think Newcastle, I don't think they're going to be destined to be in the bottom half of the table.
Surely.
I think they will come back.
And I think he'll be a big reason.
I believe so too. So it's kind of difficult with this video because it's still only November, right? So a lot of the reasoning here is hindsight and thinking forwards and maybe hoping in some cases. I'd like to see him do well. I think he's a likeable geezer as well. Amari Hutchinson is, again, a man who has struggled so far this season. Big price tag, which Chelsea are obviously delighted with that because we do love a sell-on clause, don't we? Amari Hutchinson, I think, will be a player who will explode at some point. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, and I feel
struggling.
He's struggling, but then again, the whole Nottingham Forest was struggling up until lately. So it's tough to just pin it down on one player. I think his value, look, I'll be honest, I think they overpaid for Amari Hutchinson. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
Considering things, I don't think he should be the most expensive player in a team yet. He just shouldn't.
It does hold a lot of weight too, doesn't it, being that guy?
Yeah. And not long ago, we saw, how he was with Arsenal, Chelsea,
Ipswich.
then he goes Ipswich, goes off to Forest. Yeah, he shouldn't be costing, 43, 44 million or whatnot.
Are we putting him in long game or poor deal?
I want to be fair to him and say long game.
Long game.
Because there is a player there. You can definitely look at Hutchinson and go, look, there's a player there. But I don't think he has long left. I know he's 22, but the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years, will cement where his career goes. And if he makes an impact in that time, cool. There'll be a player to talk about. If not, he'll fizzle.
Yeah. Habib Diarra is a player that I personally watched a lot of at Strasbourg, thought he's fantastic. Sunderland's top value signing last summer. And look, he's been very unfortunate because an injury has taken him out of the fray immediately. And obviously when it comes to Sunderland, there is another man in the midfield who has come in for half the value, Granit Xhaka, who's clearly been a season-defining signing, to be fair. But Habib Diarra's got to go in the long game player for me because I think that Sunderland team, they're doing so well, and that is without him being there since, the beginning of September now, when he went out injured. So I think when he comes back, they're only going to improve even more.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's loads for him to potentially show and add. Sunderland have been class, and as you've said, Granit Xhaka has been instrumental with the way that Sunderland are playing and the balance that they have. And yeah, I think, he'll only help contribute to that once he's properly getting involved. I reckon anyway, so yeah.
Xavi Simons. Bro.
I love this game.
I love this game. It's fine now.
It's amazing,
you can
isn't
say
it?
it now because it's like, oh, thank goodness. But then my question to you is, right?
We advocated for him big time.
Bro, I was obsessed with the bloke over the summer.
Yeah, the majority of the fan base was.
But do you think is it a Tottenham thing? Or is he just not that? Bro, I've seen this guy score goals in semi-finals against Jordan Pickford. What screamers.
It's mad, isn't it?
I watched Leipzig's pre-season friendlies thinking that this guy was about to play for Chelsea, and I celebrated when he scored.
It's amazing how it works, isn't it?
Who's the knobhead then? Definitely me. Mate, he's been poor. He's getting booed off.
He's been poor. I do think there is an element of it's a Tottenham thing. This is the history of the Tottenham.
Hey, first time in the video, but we're here.
Got to be done. But he has been poor. There have been players in that Tottenham team that have been at least decent. He's not been one of them. So the whole debate as to whether he's a good player isn't the one we should be having. Is he fitting into Tottenham, and can he work in the Premier League as well? It's another one, just like I mentioned for Sesko. And there's a trend here. plays from Bundesliga. It's not all of them that seem to, get themselves up and running in the Premier League. I don't know. It's probably a Bundesliga thing, but so far, I have to say poor signing.
Bro, I think he's been awful. He's genuinely been awful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let's move into West Ham. Mateus Fernandes, who is an exciting player, but West Ham's season has only really started about 10 days ago, really, didn't it? They've won their last 2, West Ham. Other than that, before that, it's been very poor. So I think to say that any player right now would have been season-defining would be telling fibs, porcupines, lies, whichever one of those you want to go with. But I like watching this guy. Like, he gets himself about a little bit. He finds the pockets of space well. And I think this is a long game player for West Ham. But I would say, I don't know how West Ham are going to be. They're going to have a battle on this season to stay in the Premier League. So when we talk about these kind of long game players, Mateus Fernandes would be one of the first names that would be sold if West Ham were to fall through the trapdoor into the Championship.
Oh, no, instantly. Because once you go down, you have to generate money. Like immediately.
Especially with an Olympic running track as your stadium.
Yeah. So I want to say long game player as well.
Long game player.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Jorgen Strand Larsen, this is difficult because obviously he signed the season before and he was great. But that was a loan. Now he's been bought permanently. I feel like this is a messy player. And not because he's a messy bad player. The whole thing with him became messy because not Lionel. Because he thought he was going to get a move to Newcastle before they went for Nick Voltemada. Didn't get the move. Wolves are stinky, like serious drainage problems there. And he has gone from being a pretty decent player last season, particularly the last 3 months of last season. Strand Larsen was one of the informed strikers in the Premier League. And this year, mate, he is absolutely ponging up the gaff. He scored a penalty against Burnley, but there's a reason Wolves are where they are. So this can only be a poor deal, can't it?
But Wolves as a whole are shambles.
Are you going to tell me how this could be season defining? Can you define? Could you argue that? Do you reckon?
No.
If he turns it around,
but he can, and that's only if once Wolves get their new manager in place and he starts ticking and he starts being the reason why they're scoring goals, he might actually try and save them. I mean, Wolves are beyond saving at this point, it looks like, but he's a good player. He's not. For example, we look at Everton and we look at Beto and we go, you should be doing better.
Yeah.
Larsen, he's a good striker, but Wolves as a whole are just poor.
Mate.
It's hard to pin it all on him when the rest of the squad literally look like they don't know what they're doing.
It's difficult because it's
very hard.
He's either a product of the environment or he's part of the reason, and I think it's a bit of both.
Exactly.
And I'm looking at the stats here. His goal conversion rate is 8%. That's why Wolves are where they are, but it's also not just why they are where they are.
Yeah.
He's averaging 1.3 shots per game, which is not enough. You're a striker who's supposed to be scoring the goals for a team that can't score, don't get draws, don't get points. So, mate, I think you got to go in the poor deal for me. Because I don't think he's going to stay awake. Stay awake. He might stay awake. I don't think he's going to.
I hope he stays
He's
awake.
not going to keep them up.
I would say, look, yeah. To be fair, considering it's 27 million euros, right? So about 25 million quid. Yeah, let's go with poor deal.
It's got to be. The bloke ain't doing anything.
But I do feel bad for him.
I feel sorry for anyone who's associated to Wolves right now. It's a stinky time to be a Wolves fan. Although Wolves away was a great away day. Last time I went there, Chelsea scored 5. Tammy Abraham hat-trick. Fikayo Tomori wonder goal. Lovely place to go in the middle of September. But anyway, if you enjoyed this tier list video here on ShootOut, you know what to do. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you haven't already done so, which is baffling at this point if you haven't hit the like button. And if you do want more of these, right, we're going to be back here in the studio early next week. International break, one more week of it, mate. I quite like these international breaks, when Chelsea have won. I feel like it's just all a bit like,
It's fun.
Yeah, we can actually take a little bit of a breather, still entertain the audience, and look forward to the Chelsea coming back.
And George likes to have a dance in between all of it. So
I do, with my shiny... Bloody hell, mate. That's a shiny bonce, isn't it? I've got the what's it? The dent from too many years of gaming. Headset head.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huge brain in there though. Trust.
That's why I never wore headsets.
So you don't get the ledges.
100%.
Could park a bus in that. See you later.